What's happening, guys? Another Sunday Scan coming at you. Today is the 28th, so this is for Monday the 29th. We have 4 days this week. We've got Friday off, observing the 4th of July on Friday, so it's going to be a short week. A lot of times there is fireworks that happen this week, not just in the sky, but in the market as well, because there's a lot of people that are around. Maybe this year is a little bit different because if you think about it, usually it's a holiday week. People are off from school, college, et cetera, and everybody starts to kind of sit in front of their computers and starts to trade, right? But that's also been the last 6 months because of COVID. So will we have more? Maybe. Will it be just another day in the markets? Probably. So anytime I get extra prepared and assume that something's going to happen, I always probably over prepare. So I am ready, and I think that as you've seen, we have too much to handle every single day in the markets. We've got a 200% gainer every single day. We've got multiple 100%, 50%, 40% type movers. So I don't really think we're going to have any shortage of action for the week. Things have been continually getting hotter and hotter and hotter, and it's really just about trying to zone in, focus, shake off every single win or loss, no matter what it was or is, which I'll get into shortly. But let's get right into the most important part: the 5 t-shirt winners, because you guys gave 500 likes. So once again, if you like the video, and we get, maybe we'll try a little higher this time. If we get over 650 likes this time, I'll pick another 5 instead of 1. But this week, Carlos, aka Vibra on Instagram, Wisdom Lover, Claudio Souza, Tim Smith, who said he's been following part of IU for about 10 years, and Kevin Cap. So I replied to some of you guys on YouTube. Just email me, and like I said, we've got a guy, John, from Loyal Brands that's taking care of all the shirts now. So as soon as I say it, they're out the door, rather than me make every excuse to get to the post office. So anyway, I liked the run time last time of about 25 minutes. I don't really like to go 40 minutes, but sometimes there's just a lot to cover. There's a lot to go over. I'm really trying to condense the watch list. I've got a longer list of, watches, as far as I call it staying familiar. So once again, if you click the description, you can take a link to investorsunderground.com, and you'll see the full blog post. So I actually have more watches that I essentially pull up in the morning. I look left, I look at where they are, topping, where they're basing, and I set price alerts. And take example of FSLY, something like that. I might set a price alert 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, and then maybe 85, 83, 81, every couple bucks down, just so I don't miss it. And as they trigger to the upside, I add a downside trigger. That way I know that if it starts to pull back, I'll be alerted. So that is that. First part of the notes, there was about 20 to 22 of you guys that took me up on that offer for the workouts with Zach at Avidity Fitness. So prior to COVID, I was training 4 days a week with Zach in basically 20 minutes from my house, a private gym, and he's got a bunch of great clients, and fortunate to be part of this private gym where he can train all the clients. So long story short, obviously COVID happened, and I was like, you got to do Zoom workouts. You got to keep everybody. People aren't paying you necessarily to get all jacked and stuff. They're paying you for accountability, right? And so I was like, you got to do the Zoom workouts. So he started to do them, and they've been fantastic. I got a bunch of my own trading friends part of it. So there's a normal small crew that does it, but I was trying to think out of the box to what is going to take people over, to take that next step. And so like I said last week, I'm donating up to $10,000, $250 for everybody that will push through and do 4 classes in a row. And I even made it easier. I said 4 of the next 6 classes. So even if you only did 3 out of the 4, you still can go to the next, the 4th one. And a lot of people have enjoyed it. A lot of people are sticking with it. 3 or 4 of the guys this morning said, how do I continue? So like I said, it's the first step. keeping you accountable and getting right back into it. And there was a lot of guys that had worked out before, but they just hadn't been going. They just hadn't, they make every excuse in the book. Why does this matter with trading? It's the same muscles. It's the same everything. If you can't, make yourself accountable and make yourself continue to go to the gym, if you cannot continue to keep an active workout schedule, how do you expect to continue to follow the same rules? How do you continue to stop out, continue to trade by that foundation, which is so important that you need? You can't, right? So prove to yourself that you can follow 4 workouts in a row before you even try to make a first trade. Promise you, you'll feel a lot better. You'll be more alert. You'll have a lot more energy. And I'm not kidding with that. You're going to have a lot more energy and you're going to feel a lot more alert. So give it a shot. And like I said, it'll probably fill up quick, but it doesn't matter. The more the merrier. And I'm donating up to $10,000 for the first 20 people, or however many we end up getting. So I would challenge you guys once again to do it, and let's get some money to Traders for a Cause. So what else? This month, so the partial brag is, it is 2 times my best year ever this month alone. Okay, great. What's the point? Point is, it doesn't matter, because tomorrow I got to come to the market, right? And if I come in overconfident with an ego, thinking I own everything, then guess what's going to happen? Market's going to humble me. Okay, right? So the key is to make sure you reset, refocus. I say it every single week, but more importantly, it matters on losers too. I had a couple conversations this week. A couple people got bent, right? I even wrote it in Scan. I was like, I feel a little frustrated because I'm just a broken record telling folks not to get bent on the front side of the move. And I write all the levels, and it just is, every single trader runs through the same issues, goes through the same mistakes, right? 90% of traders fail. Why? Because they can't wait. They want to be part of it. They start in, and then they start to make their problem worse and worse and worse and just keep on adding. So what does that matter? When you have that loss, just like best month ever, best week ever, best day ever, who cares? Next. Get used to saying it. Next. The faster that you can come back, zoned in and clear-minded and, as if it never even happened, that's what you got to do. That's what you got to practice. And so a couple people, obviously INO and maybe VXRT, that wasn't too crazy of one as far as getting bent, but there's a lot of difficult moves this week. And for people that were stubborn, you got ran over. So yeah, some people had losses. So what do you do? I even saw Brandon Crawfish posted, he had trouble with INO, and he's been on a hot tear. What do you do? Free zone next day. It's okay. So this week I had phenomenal week. Like I said, best week ever. But on Thursday I was up a fortune, and I, kind of not necessarily was overconfident or ego, but I let my guard down, and instead of scaling into the winner and things like that, in the last about 15 minutes or so, I gave back almost my full day, or my full day pretty much, in my Centerpoint account, because I sized in real quick and before confirmation, kind of anticipating action, and instead of doing what I typically do, I got away from that, and I kind of went in with, well, I'm up huge, whatever, boom. And guess what? It went the other way. So the point is like, okay, what do you do next? Do you dwell about it all day? No. The losses don't matter. The wins don't matter. It's the process. You should be upset with breaking a process. You should be upset with, if you think you should have made more, you got to look back at the process. What did you do wrong? What could you have done better? Thinking about how much you could have made or how much you lost is not going to make you better. So always think about that. Like I said, it's the faster you can rezone. Brandon came back on Friday and crushed it, and my Friday was best day that I've ever had. So it's just one of those types of markets where I guess the reason I was going over this is sometimes people like to take a step back. Oh, I got to chill out. I'm getting a little aggressive. But the market that takes also gives. And you got to remember that. And I've said this a million times, but Eric Wood is a great, not necessarily, I wouldn't call him a rebound trader. He's a very good trader. But, when he has those aggressive losses, it's because he maybe got overconfident a little early, but decided to fight it rather than, take it off and try for higher. So usually he's right. So what does a loss mean? It means he was just probably a little bit early, right? So why would you just, sit down, hands, behind your butt, whatever, sit on your hands and not trade, right? You were just a little early that day. If you have a solid process, if you have something that continually works, and you've had success with it, why would you pull back in one of the hottest markets? So just think about that when you do have a loss. Go back to what got you there. You don't need to be all shy from the market just because you had a loser. You got to be able to rezone, refocus, just as if you had your best day ever, okay? So all of that, it doesn't matter the prior day. Friday for me doesn't matter because Monday is all that matters. If I go in thinking, I'm the man on Monday, I'm going to eat humble pie. So that's the market for us. So other than that, I get a lot of questions about patience. How do you hold all day? How do you know which ones to do? I think the key is that one, fundamentally will help you, but at the same time, it's not always that easy, right? A lot of price action. You got to watch out for volume. I think the best thing to do is in this market is not try to have a bias that, I've got to hold all day, because take EKSO, for example. EKSO, total, trash box that needs to raise, needs money. They end up doing it. They only do a very small portion that they had ended up raising a week prior or something. So what normally would have sold off and unwound, when it didn't go down, where do you think it's going to go? And it went straight up after hours after they did the filing. So because it was a small filing, they caught shorts off guard. We're just not in a market to be patient when things are not going our way or immediately going our way. There's too much going on for you to try to this should be doing this. This usually does this. It doesn't matter right now because there is so much demand and there's too much supply from shorts and too much demand from longs, right? So if there's too much demand, obviously normally the price should go up, right? Because the supply can't be the supply is going to run out. And as people are willing to pay more and the supply gets less, it's going to start to ramp up, right? So add in shorts, there's too many short supplies, and then you get the emotional roller coasters that shorts go through and you start to get these crazy moves. So, something like VXRT, which definitely was just small insider trading, considering it went up 150% the day before the big news. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, where the loose lips were. But don't have too strong of a bias. You can come in with a heavy bias, but it's only going to hurt you. Right now on all these things, price action matters, right? I know you look at the price ranges, 2780s from Thursday, minus the washout at the open, 2780s came right back at you and was really the key for most of the day. So understanding, looking left, seeing where things were consolidating, where they were supported the day before, all of that kind of stuff comes into play. 35s from after hours, it pays to watch after hours. As you guys know, I was short Thursday night. I held some INO short over, and then I shorted the pre-market. I posted the chart. It was a fun one. So, but had I been wrong, then I would have needed to be wrong. And in a case like INO, the reason I was so happy with the way that I traded it is because a lot of times, I nail something like mRNA and I go into like, all right, it's go time. It's time to crush it. It's going to unwind. It's going to go here, blah, blah, blah. And I failed to recognize that it just faded, $11 a share or something. And I shouldn't be looking for 3 more or 4 more. There's $11 a share. You know, so the goal is to take as much size for as much as the meat of the move, and then maybe see what you can get on the rest. And that's really the key in this market. You know, scaling as much as, for me, scaling as much as I can for the liquidity, for what the liquidity offers anyway, and then let maybe partial, a fourth, whatever, work throughout the full day. I don't need to take full size throughout the entire day. It's just not that type of market. Front side, back side, pre-exhaustion was everything this week. I was nonstop on INO, in the room telling people, here's the key level. It's fine to trade that front side of the move, but you better be covering. And the way that you find out where to cover is you look left. And if you go back, you'll see that every time it squeezed out, it came back to the same levels. And it was 27.80s. And before that, I forget the price offhand, but it's very easy. Do that right now. Go look at the INO chart, check it out, draw levels, and see how many times it bounced off the same level. You should assume it's going to hold that level before sizing up, before being patient. So if you size in, make sure you're covering into the flushes until it confirms that it's going to stay at that new top, right? Just because it goes under that level doesn't mean it's not going to come right back up. A lot of times you see it go up, boom, right back up, and continue. We want to see it go down, bounce off it, bounce off it, bounce off it, fade. That's confirmation. Like I said, the same market that takes gives. So remember that. You don't need to shy away from the market just because you had a loss. The easier, the faster that you can get back to zone, square one, the better. And don't just shy away from the next trade just because you had a loser. This market will take some, for sure. But it's very, very good right now. And for you to just take a day off because you broke a rule, you need to own it and move on. So that's that. Confidence is super, super important right now. You need to be confident in your process. You need to be confident in what you're prepared for. That doesn't mean be cocky. That doesn't mean be overconfident. That means, you did the work. You've got a plan. And if you're wrong, be wrong, right? Like I said last week, being wrong is actually right. A lot of people weren't wrong, and they decided to add into losers and got blown out. That's exactly why INO did what it did. That's why VXRT did what it did. So it's up to you guys to make sure that you guys are protecting risk, but at the same time, don't shy away from it just because of a bad day before. And again, don't be overconfident. Last but not least, just something that a lot of people are going through right now. For example, a close friend of mine that's in the office, he's usually like 1.2K a day. Like that's his average. And every time he gets around 1.2K, he either tries to push it and loses more, or it's just his number. Every time, eyes closed, whatever, he looks, okay, I'm up 1.2. And then that started to be 2.4, something like that. And so I just want it to be here. I just want it to be here. I just want it to be here. The thing is you need to learn at that same time. You need to slowly get there. And slowly could even be over a month or a couple weeks. But, pushing that you want those 10K days is what's going to land you with the 5K losers. So be aware of that. You all see people posting big P&Ls. Be aware that to get to that 200K day or that 50K day, you might need to take a couple 10K licks or 20K licks. So be aware of that. And so as you progress and you go from your 1K days to your 2K days or whatever, 500 days to 1,000 to 2,500, whatever, you're also learning the emotional kind of swings that come with that. So don't rush it. Don't rush it. And again, not every trade is a size trade. Find your setups, find what you're good at, focus on those, and go from there. But this week was crazy. Like I tweeted, you go from just hypothetically, but your 500 swings to your 1,000 swings to 5K swings, 10, 50K. It's just it's totally crazy. And I found myself looking a lot less at the P&L and just trading. And usually I don't look at my P&L during the day anyway, which is something that I never really focused on. I just don't. It's hidden behind a couple windows, and I just, I don't pull it up because I know that if I'm at X and I'm 3K away from the next, breakout, then I'll probably be trying to push for that 3K. So for me, I just try to not look at it. And I obviously have an idea where I am, but I try not to really focus in on it and just trade. If there's opportunity there, I take it. But if you trade well, profits follow. So let's get into scan. And like I said, I'm going to try to keep this. We're at 20 minutes, so maybe about a couple. Maybe I'll go over a little bit. But so VXRT, this was insanity. Like I said, obviously this was a lot of insider trading. There's no denying it. Why did it double from 250s to 3 to all the way to 8 after hours? Nobody knew. Please. So great opportunities regardless. Just a huge squeeze on Thursday. Nice big squeeze on Friday. A situation there. I was up nicely in the pre-market. And then the news hit, so I had to cover. So had I been too proud to take a loss, had I been too proud to, and keep on adding to a loser, what would that have done? Probably a pretty terrible trade. So nailed the first move, gave it back on the second, and then, got the 14, 13, 12, 11 ads and absolutely scored. So that was a great opportunity. Fortunately, we had, a newsletter buying for the 14 break, trying to shove everybody in there. And, that gave me confidence. Once I saw them all come in for the 14 break and it just, didn't even budge, that gave me full confidence to size in. And that's why I sized in there, as I said in the room. And, it just came apart. So from that point forward, that was a lot easier to be patient. But again, I did size down quite a bit. So I pretty much held the majority of it. I wanted like a 750 wash after hours, so I actually covered into the 778 and 780s as I posted in the room. But I have a small short position left. I was just trying to let it work because I'm up, a couple bucks per share. But as usual, why do you want it to go up when you're short? Higher the better. I really would like to see it higher. Maybe some people digest the news this weekend, but I do think overall this thing was front ran, loose lips, a lot of insider trading, and I do think that we'll see some profit taking and some action here. So ideally, looking left, we get some type of push towards 950s or higher, and then looking for some failed follow through momentum. So we'll see what happens. Given COVID news and headlines, I don't know if it's going to work the same way that it did in the past. But there was a lot of rises this weekend and things like that. So if that is the case, then possibly we get some traction on these. Same thing with INO. So taking it one day at a time. I don't know, what's going to happen with INO, but what I do know is I know how to trade it and I'll be ready for it. So, do we have a nice push towards 30s? Do we have a push towards maybe 31, 50, 30, 32s? Hopefully, higher the better. So I covered the majority of it. I have a small short on as well. Again, I'd love for it to gap up $1 or $2. But be cautious of trying to nail this thing. It's going to be a battle for the next couple days, in my opinion. And just think about everybody that is short, right? Find somebody that's long. It's obviously there's a lot of Twitter stock twits and stuff that they all got long, but the majority of the bias is it's trash, it's going lower. So as I've said, it's important when things flush out, you need to be there. You need to be there because everybody is just hoping to break even at this point. And obviously they're not. So as a trader, make sure that you are trading it properly. XOM, this one's just a cheapie. Not XOM, I always do that. And I wrote XOM on my scan, I'm going to have to fix that. ZOM, total cheapie, total turd, but, not only is Dave Portnoy, Barstool, long, but, you've got it coming up on the Robinhood. Robin Track as one of the top holdings. So I scooped on dips on Friday. You know, if we get over 28, 30, 32 and stuff, I don't know how far I'll make it. But point is you know what? You know, if you can't beat them, join them. So, you know, we'll see. And the volume is what I follow. So we've got back-to-back 200, 220 mil days. So, you know, obviously there's a huge shareholder base. There's a lot of paper here. But hopefully, you know, we see some action. And if we do, great. If not, then I'm not holding it. So I'm not going to, you know, try to hold a turd and think that it has to go anywhere. SHLL, beautiful move on the Barron's article. Great long, great trap. Also, you know, it had a nice ramp up, pulled back. The wicks we talk about, dip, rip again. I didn't do very well on the long side. You know, I traded it a couple times, but yeah, I missed the majority of it. So in a situation like this, higher the better. I'm just looking to, you know, maybe trade any big parabolic moves and then maybe fade off. But most importantly, cover flushes around the core. Don't try to find the top. Don't add. That's when you're going to run into trouble. So the next part of scan is failed follow through. So like I always say, if you click the description, you'll see a link to Investors Underground. You can see all of the watches on scan and, you know, the text version of what I'm saying. But in a situation BBBY like this, I'm looking versus this prior resistance 1020 level. So what I want to do is actually watch M to see how it behaves. I'm thinking that M is going to rebound at some point. Not a big rebound, but I'm thinking that it's been straight down. It might have a nice rebound soon, right? If that's the case, BBBY may start to go. If it doesn't, then that to me suggests that they're starting to sell BBBY, and then we might have that unwind. So that's what I want to see as a confirmation. I want to see relative weakness versus the peers. And if we get that, then I'll be interested in potentially fading it. So that's that one. DKNG, this one's been a nice opportunity. I was there small on Friday, but for the most part, missed it. Very clean unwind. I'm thinking we might have a little bit of a rebound soon, but overall, I think that we're going to have trouble versus 35. So I'd be actually looking to lean all gap ups that stop going up. So I don't want to find the top, but once they start to fail, I want to risk versus VWAP and just join the trend. FSLY, you know, same thing. You don't need to be a hero, but NVAX, perfect example. Very similar chart, and I traded this short on Friday, but I'd be looking for the same thing. Doesn't mean that the trade's coming tomorrow, but I want to stay focused on this name. I want to be ready for it, and when it happens, I'll get it. And most importantly, you got to cover the flush, because if you try to overstay, you see here people that overstayed, but even better, NVAX, you know, you get that fade from 80 down to 70. You don't cover, you start to get stubborn, it goes all the way back up, and you just wasted $6, $7, $8 per share. So don't try to be a hero in this market. Take the big flushes like that. CBLI, after hours, it didn't stop, it kept on going, and then it just completely unwound. So I think they squeezed everybody out into the close. I think most people will not be watching this one just because it's going to gap down possibly. So I'll be watching verse 350, 360s and see how see if we get an opportunity. So again, I think just like EKSO, I faded it on Friday, and the thesis was I'm going to quietly lean into pops. I'm not oversizing, but I think everybody's going to be watching VXRT. Everybody's going to be watching INO. They're going to forget about this one. And you can see here, you can see looking left, how looking left would help you. Top, top, top. That doesn't mean it's always going to stop there. But it's a good place to start. It's a good place to risk off of. It's a good place to look. But that was great overall. I covered it. I wasn't really looking to swing. I'll potentially reshort it again. But same kind of concept on CBLI. I think everybody's going to be watching other things. And so I think that this one off radar could give us, you know, 30, 40, 50 cents. So EKSO, same thing I just went over. Other than that, WKHS, I'm still thinking maybe we get 10 to 12 bucks. Well, we're already through 10 now, but midday on Friday, I was thinking maybe 10 to 12. So, went up another 50, 60, 70 cents, consolidated around 10. So, this is one of those where everybody's probably waiting for it to pull back, just like INO. So don't underestimate how high this can go. And also, when you do nail that trade, if it flushes 50, 60, 70 cents, you want to be there because everybody's going to be waiting for more. And as you've seen with all of these, they're not letting all the shorts out. They're only letting the ones that, like us, who are not getting bent, out because we can take this amount while everybody else needs, way lower. ASTC, this one didn't perform as well as I had hoped. I started into this. My thought process, it was a COVID name, but they've raised and it looks like it's got a little bit of a ceiling there. But 330s and 350s is pretty much my level. So if they get a PR or if we just start naturally ripping through 330s, 350s, then I think we could go. But it's been kind of stuck in trend. It felt a little heavy on Friday, so we'll see what happens with that. But again, 330, 350, I think it could take off. PRGX, nice breakout. I'm watching potential dips for a breakout continuation. So again, the next section of scan is staying familiar. Those I don't have game plans on. I just have charts that I know I want to watch. I know we're going to have trades on them. So things like EXPI, DVAX, as well as probably 10 others. I will relook at in the morning. I will set price alerts in IU, and we'll go from there. So I hope you guys have a good rest of the weekend. And again, make sure you do thumbs up on this thing and leave a comment, your biggest takeaway. That's I try to answer and go over them all in the front of these in the start of the scans, and to pick more t-shirt winners next week, and maybe a Momo Traders book next week, and I think that's about it. So if you guys want to do the workout that I said at the beginning, like I said, we're donating up to $10,000 for anybody that does 4 sessions in a row. It's all you got to commit. It's pretty easy. And $250 goes to Traders for a Cause. So that's it, guys. We'll catch you guys in the room tomorrow. If you have any questions at all about the room, reach out. Myself, Cam, anybody can help. Tyler, Sean, we're always all around and more than happy to answer any questions for you guys. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.